A young Mika Hakkinen joined Formula One with the Lotus team in 1991. And the young man, he was in a Lotus, not a great car at the time, not the Lotus of the good old days. It was a midfield car at best. But the young man put in some good performances and attracted attention from other teams, and he moved on to McLaren, where he was joining the great Ayrton Senna, becoming his young teammate. I'm sure he had the opportunity to learn a lot from the great man. In fact, out-qualified him. And he used to put up a good fight. And it was very apparent that one day Mika Hakkinen would be an exceptional driver and a possible world champion. You can see here leading Ayrton Senna around the track. But come 1997, McLaren had changed their look as they were sponsored by West, and Hakkinen was joined by David Coulthard, and that took us to Jerez in Europe for the 97 European Grand Prix, where there was some interesting things going on in qualifying.
Down to the chicane, which commemorates the great Ayrton Senna. Right, left, now he comes up to the slowest corner on the track. Second gear, 55 miles an hour. Turn 13, accelerate across the grid and the line, and Jacques Villeneuve was fastest in the second sector. 18th as he approaches the line, and he moves up into provisional pole position. Jacques Villeneuve, 1 minute 21.072. Look at that, 3/10 of a second inside. This is terrific. Michael Schumacher is going to move up into provisional pole position if he just keeps up this speed as he comes into the last corner now. In tight on the apex. Get it steady, boot it hard, over the grid, and over the line goes Michael Schumacher and moves up into second place with a time exactly the same as Jacques Villeneuve's to the nearest 1,000th of a second. And he's even quicker, he's even further inside Villeneuve's time. This is certainly a pole position time coming up behind Harold Frentzen, and it couldn't have happened at a better time for him, for Williams, or particularly for Jacques Villeneuve, because team orders will count tomorrow. And Heinz Harold Frentzen, it is amazing, I cannot believe this. Heinz Harold Frentzen has done exactly the same time as Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher, and stays therefore in third place.
Well, like the rest of us, Michael Schumacher is sitting in his car watching the screens, shaking his head and laughing.
Yeah, brilliant, that 121.072. You know, you get drivers putting the same lap time up, but when it was all three at the front of the grid there, that was something really amazing and quite amusing for the three of them. So this race was really the last race of the 97 season. Schumacher was leading Villeneuve in the championship by 1 point. So basically out of those two, whoever finished ahead was going to win the world championship. You ever see side by side just how exactly the same Schumacher and Villeneuve were, as they had been all season, really. And this was going to be the title-deciding race. Let's have a look what happened.
Villeneuve on the right, Schumacher on the left, front row. Behind Schumacher is Damon Hill. 4, 5, pause. And it's go, 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 go. Villeneuve gets away and Schumacher gets away. Better, better, better. Michael Schumacher leads, and up alongside Villeneuve comes Heinz Harold Frentzen. Damon Hill is there too, but Coulthard has come through. Mika Hakkinen is up there. Fantastic start. Let's hope there are no collisions. It's absolutely perfect for Michael Schumacher and terrible for Jacques Villeneuve. Remember that all that Michael Schumacher has got to do is stay ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. Doesn't matter how many points he scores, he will win the World Championship. Frentzen is second, Villeneuve is third. Villeneuve has dropped 2 places. Terrible for him.
David Coulthard in the McLaren here going around the outside. Great stuff. Villeneuve messing up his start. He wasn't known for his F1 starts. He came from the world of IndyCar where they're rolling starts. So he wasn't quite used to standing starts as the Williams team. They were working out their strategy. And obviously Villeneuve caught Frentzen and got let through quite easily. And soon it was time for our first retirement of the day.
Off goes Pedro Diniz in the second arrows. He was was in 13th place. Let's hope that he's not in a position of danger and that they will have to get the safety car out.
Meanwhile, in the front, Schumacher had a big lead over Villeneuve, 5.5 seconds. These two racing for the World Championship. And before the race, Max Mosley was president of the FIA at the time, had gotten all the drivers together and told them, do not influence the title in any way. So, and no shenanigans were going to be accepted either.
It's going to be an earlier stop than we expected.
Marcus tried to let him through.
Here he comes, James Allen.
Ferrari mechanics standing by, atmosphere of calm down here. They're going to put 57 kilos of fuel in, which is enough for a two-stop strategy. This Ferrari car engine, burns about 2.5 kilos of fuel per lap. Michael Schumacher in, they go to work. Well, you can see it for yourself, boys. Meanwhile, the Williams mechanics ready. I can't see who they're waiting for, but we'll soon find out.
Schumacher was the first to head to the pits for
And
fuel.
out goes Michael Schumacher. Jacques Villeneuve has gone into the lead. Now let's see who is behind Michael Schumacher as he joins the race. And it's David Coulthard, who is in 5th position.
So Michael Schumacher came out ahead of the two McLarens, and Villeneuve pitted the very next lap and was hoping to do the same.
As Jos Verstappen just goes flying past, 7.9 seconds the target for Jacques Villeneuve, but he's definitely lost a little bit of time on the in lap. Well, the tyres were ready for him when Schumacher came in. He didn't obviously follow him into the pits, which is an interesting decision, and Martin, I'm sure, will be able to guess why he didn't do that. But
And Heinz-Harald Frentzen leads the European Grand Prix at Jerez, and as you saw, the timing figures went all awry. I can't tell you what the time was. I can tell you that Michael Schumacher took 7.6 seconds, and I can tell you that Heinz-Harald Frentzen is in the lead. So Schumacher is benefiting from that pit stop. Behind Schumacher is David Coulthard. There is the McLaren Mercedes. Behind Coulthard is Villeneuve, and in 6th position in the second Ferrari is Eddie Irvine.
Now, with Frentzen in the front, he was, as they would say nowadays, extending his stint. And in order to do that, he was driving around a lot slower, which was backing up the pack and basically backing up Schumacher into Villeneuve. Nothing wrong with that. He's extending his stint.
Even as much as 2 seconds per lap, and this is going to give Villeneuve a great opportunity to close that 5-second gap.
Fastest.
Villeneuve goes fastest, 1:23.9. A new lap record for Villeneuve, and Coulthard is in the pits for his stop of 7.6 seconds, you can see.
Yes, Coulthard peeled off into the pits for his stop, and that left Hakkinen out there still yet to stop, as well as Frentzen. And Frentzen still continuing to back the pack up, as Hakkinen, you can see he wasn't having any of this nonsense. He was, hey, I'm coming through. I can see a race victory here.
Which he has done. But Frentzen in the lead, and Hakkinen in second place have still got to come in. And Michael Schumacher knows he's got a battle on his hands now as he comes up to complete his 26th lap out of 69.
Yeah, it wasn't long until Villeneuve was right up with Schumacher and was even having a look at the dry seat
In the
corner.
pits, there he is. He's lost the lead. The two men who are battling for the World Championship as Frentzen rejoins. Where does he rejoin?
Yes, Heinz-Harald pitted. Jean Todt was upset that Frentzen was holding things up, but hey, don't be upset, don't be nervous. He was just extending his stint. That's all. It's strategy, man. Second round of pit stops, Schumacher came in. Villeneuve had backed off a bit, and he was waiting for a fresh set of tyres. Villeneuve went around again as Schumacher pitted, and yeah, these pit stops in the 90s, they're refueling, so there's no real stress on getting the tyres on and off quickly. It's all, you can see the car's done and ready to go, but the fuel is still going in. But yeah, these guys were pretty much perfect in these days as well. So Villeneuve was in shortly after, again, just one lap after Schumacher.
critical thing is Irvine going to spoil Villeneuve's from day to day? 9.4 seconds was the target to beat. Up to you.
And he's done it, 8.3 seconds. So Villeneuve has gained 1 second, and look, the McLaren goes past him. So Villeneuve has lost a place there. No, this is indeed the pit stop that could decide the World Championship.
I want to see if Villeneuve went back up the inside there of Coulthard. No, he didn't. That's very, very bad news for Villeneuve.
So in the first round of pit stops, because Hakkinen had been held up behind Frentzen, DC had gotten ahead of him on the track, by the time the pit stops all shook out, and then DC was in as Jean Alesi went off-roading a bit. And so we arrived at lap 47 with Jacques Villeneuve right up on Michael Schumacher. Been chasing him down. Villeneuve on a fresh set of tyres, and Schumacher on tyres only one lap older, so not too much difference, but Villeneuve very, very quick in this last section of the race. And yeah, this is for the World Championship, and Villeneuve was worried that Schumacher would do a 1994 like he did to Damon Hill as they came down to the Danny Pedrosa corner.
Villeneuve is all over him, look, he's going through. Oh yes, I don't think.
Out goes Michael Schumacher.
That didn't work, Michael, you hit the wrong part of him, my friend. I don't think that will cause Villeneuve a problem.
Michael Schumacher out. Now this is a replay of the World Championship in 1994 when Schumacher and Hill had a coming together, and if Villeneuve can just keep going in the points, he's won the World Championship of 1997, because out of the race goes Michael Schumacher. He retires on lap 48.
Schumacher, he could only walk away and hang his head.
In the race or the world. Out goes Damon Hill from 8th position. His last race for Arrows. His first race for Arrows in Australia was a failure. Well, he didn't even start the race. That's Schumacher.
This championship is still not decided. Now watch. He takes a dive up the inside. He put himself in a position we talked about not to give Michael a chance. Michael realises, look, Villeneuve's on the track. Michael hits him. We can't see the contact there from that camera angle, obviously, but it depends on whether he made contact with those rear wishbones. They are not very strong. Now we're going to see it. Now we're going to see from Michael Schumacher's car. Villeneuve, watch him slice up the inside. Now watch his hands. Does Schuey turn in? Well, he's turning into the corner, but his rear wheel may have just done enough damage to knock Villeneuve's car out of the race. Villeneuve lapping 5 seconds a lap slow. There's the beached Ferrari of Michael Schumacher.
What did I say? David Coulthard has got the gap between himself and Villeneuve down to under 12 seconds now. He's taken an enormous chunk out of Villeneuve's lead, but Villeneuve is on his 50th lap now. He's got 19 laps to go.
My favourite bit of commentary on that was actually on the French TV with Jacques Lafitte. He said, "Quel con," which means, what an idiot. But now the McLarens. Hakkinen was catching Coulthard.
Here's a race win here for Hakkinen. He can see it and Coulthard can see it too, and he blocks Hakkinen on the way into the last corner. Those two having their own private battle, as meanwhile...
Mika Hakkinen goes through and takes David Coulthard.
Coulthard lifted off for sure. Coulthard lifted off. The team must have told him, let Hakkinen through. We think he's fast.
As we are on board with Mika Hakkinen behind Jordan that he needs to lap and then get through to Jacques Villeneuve. Coulthard later said, yeah, he let Hakkinen through. He hadn't been able to make any more headway on Villeneuve. And Villeneuve, he was really slowing. That knock from Schumacher had sort of dislodged the battery kind of a little bit, and that's what the team said afterwards. And so he was taking it easy. He was really nursing his car to the finish. You know, he just had to finish in the points here, so he didn't have to win. So Mika Hakkinen knew that. It's basically, I'll show him a front wheel, he'll let me through. Because Villeneuve, he doesn't want to ruin his world championship. He just needs to finish the race here. Hakkinen sensed it.
Much as looks at his rear wheel.
And he does it!
He's let him through.
Hakkinen is going to win! Hakkinen is going to win his first Grand Prix in his long and meritorious career. He's coming up to the last corner. Hakkinen is going to win the European Grand Prix. David Coulthard goes second, and Jacques Villeneuve second, settles for third place at the World Championship of 1997. Wow! Mika Hakkinen wins for McLaren. David Coulthard is second for McLaren. Jacques Villeneuve is third for Williams and for Renault. So Renault failed to win their last Grand Prix.
And so Jacques Villeneuve would steal the headlines by winning the world championship. And the headlines were then later stolen by Schumacher. But Mika Hakkinen won the race and won his first ever Grand Prix. And it was a good win for Mercedes as well. There's Norbert Haug. He was the chief of Mercedes at the time, supplying the engines to McLaren. And Mika, he finally had a race win. And this man was very, very delighted with that. As you can see, lots of Finnish flags flying. And DC, he came home in second place there. Great for him. A great end of the season for McLaren, and a bit of a foreshadowing of what was to come as they'd win the World Championships the next 2 years. The drivers, at least, Hakkinen would. Let's see what he had to say after the race.
I think the whole race was interesting from start to finish. Me, anyway. I think I lost some time. In behind the track in the start of the race. And, I obviously wanted to go quicker, but it was again would be far too risky to try to make any maneuver to try to overtake him, because obviously he's fighting from the, well, not anymore, but from the championship. So I decided to more or less stay behind him, and yeah, I would say coming to the last couple of laps, it was pretty incredible. It was one of the Jordans from us, and Jacques was there, and obviously David was front of me, and I would say it was, from my side, it was fantastic.
At what point during the race did you suddenly think, well, maybe I can win this race today?
I never would think that way. I never would win. Always in my mind.
So literally in the last lap, you suddenly had the opportunity.
Yeah, I think I had opportunity, and it end of the day, I don't know exactly what happened, but a strange place to overtake David. But it was for my benefit. It was fantastic.
Well, Mika, well done.
Good package, good drivers. What else you need? So I'm looking forward for next year.
Mika, well done.
Yeah, what more could you ask for? Well, how about a World Championship? Well, go on and win 2 of them. Great stuff there from Mika and the McLarens, and Jacques Villeneuve as well for winning the World Championship. Now, Michael Schumacher, actually, if you look up the 97 season, Schumacher's name isn't mentioned in the drivers' standings. He was thrown out of the whole World Championship for that maneuver, and yeah, that was pretty bad. That was a pretty harsh punishment. Michael, being Michael, didn't really care about that. He, what's second place? It's first of the losers. That's the way world champions think. So it didn't bother him too much. Yeah, but a hectic end to the 97 season. But a great story for Mika Hakkinen, taking his first ever Grand Prix win. Guys, here's a playlist of other great first-time motorsporting victories. Check those out. There's some more great stories there. And if you like this video, please hit the like button, because it helps an algorithm in YouTube do something good for the channel. And until the next one, have a good time all the time. Cheers.